Hello everyone and welcome to my channel Uxtsuki. In this video we are gonna talk about finally anti-aliasing. So far everything that I made as an example always had lifeless or too flat. We can step up our pixel art with this. I have to warn anti-aliasing works like a tool. Actually you are totally free to make pixel art without it, and actually these end up echoing in your style. Be open-minded that anti-aliasing is a tool. It is not mandatory, and actually not using it or using it with moderation or use in a exaggerated way actually end up being something part of your style. So what is anti-aliasing? How to use, when to use, and etc. All these things actually will be answered by your style. So everything that I will say here works like in a general idea of it. Anti-aliasing is a technique to smooth out something. Usually it is used in three scenarios. So the first one is when you have a color transition. So imagine this is something and I have this as my mid-tone, for example. Even though this works properly as mid-tone and shadow, maybe I want to make this transition between these two colors smoother. And how do I do this? With anti-aliasing. I might as well use anti-aliasing for curves or either straight lines or other type of lines. For example, this 2 pixel wide line used for isometric pixel art. So how this works, as I said, the idea is to smooth out transitions and curves and lines. How do we pick this? Usually is literally a color between two colors. So for example, I have this one and this one. Let me actually, so now I have these two colors. So how could I transition between these two smoothly? Well, something like here and like here. I think it is a good transition, as you can see. So the color picking usually will be between these two colors, or you might as well be a little bit biased and lean for a bit more lighted part or to the shaded part. The mid-term works, but you might want to be a little bit close to one or the other color. But now, how would I decide where to place it? You could place wherever you want, but ideally, as I said, to not overuse. There is a kind of a rule that actually works something like this. If you have anything that is at least 2 pixel wide or 2 pixel high, the anti-aliasing could be used. And where reuse? Ideally, it's something that is inside of a shape. So for example, if I have this shape, ideally the anti-aliasing would be inside of it in the extremes, for example, close to the contour. But what if I have a straight line? Usually, this means the line itself will be smoothed out. As I said, usually the ideal is to be placed in things that is at least 2 pixel wide or 2 pixel high. But what if I have something that is like a line? How can I smooth this? Well, in the same idea of the straight line, or this could be placed in the line itself, but if this is a shape, this might be inside of the shape. Let me just use this. For example, I have this thing. This is at least it's 4 pixel wide. I am able to use this. And how much pixel could I smooth out? People say that the max amount 50%, but personally, I like the idea to be 33% or one third. But actually, anti-aliasing is more about the feeling. So actually, your mastery in this will be only improve the more you use, right? So we'll place here, place here, place here. I might be placed in here as well. here, here, here. So here, as I said, this is not 2 pixel wide, but if I want to smooth this part, this actually end up in the line itself. And for example, this one is a big one, 20 and the 50 people would smooth out 10 pixels, so 5 in here, 5 in here. But I want less than this, and since 20 is not divided multiple of 3, I would for this number 18, so it will end up being 6 pixels, so 3 for each side. I think it's a good number, and okay. So as you can see, the transition in this part is smoothed out. But how about this? This will use the rule of curves, right? So I'm kind of able to use this color to smooth out, for example, these parts. But ideally, in here would be a color between this and this. So since this is not painted like any background, actually I will need to use this color itself to smooth out things. So actually we'll use darker and more and less saturated color to smooth out the things up here. I won't even fix the curve. I will just place this and check if this will be smoothed out. So yes, in my opinion, this was smoothed out. And in lines as well, I'm able to smooth. So for example, imagine this thing, and I have, for example, I don't know. So in straight lines, we actually smooth out the end of it because the contour, if we try to smooth out the contour, it will actually end up bending the line. So we don't want this effect. So usually we smooth out just the end of the lines. So for example, this is one pixel. So actually I will smooth out itself. And in this case, I might want to smooth out the like more internal part of this shape, for example. But actually, it's totally okay to smooth out the outer parts as well. And okay, here we have the little guy. And as I said as well, in 2 pixels for isometric or either 3, you might want to go like this. You can either smooth out inner or outer or in both cases. But as I said, try to not overuse because everything will be, for example, too smooth out and nothing actually will be sharp enough to be interpreted as something. Actually, will blur our image, right? And here is the discussion. Anti-Aliasing actually is the opposite of sharpness. Whenever you try to smooth out things, it will become less and less sharp. And if you actually want to preserve sharpness of something, it will get less and less smooth out. Have in mind that you will usually make decisions in your art, and one of these decisions is about the smoothness of your pixel art. If something actually needs to be smoother, so you will sacrifice the sharpness of the image, right? And let me light sky just a bit, for example. How do we smooth out this transition? Well, ideally, it is something between here and here, for example, maybe. Okay, and here is something that is a little bit challenging because when you have, for example, 2 pixels or either 3, which side you would apply anti-aliasing? For example, if I place in here or in here because both it's just too much. I personally choose to place whether it's more curved. So I think at the upper side it is needed to smoother than the bottom because of this too closed initialization. In this case, it's the same idea. So yeah, thanks for watching and see you in the next video. Bye.